Good morning, everybody. Good to see you. Glad you're here. Sorry I started a half hour late today. I needed to set up the traditional medium rig here. As you can see, a little bit upgraded. My love got me a new easel, and let's see if I can show you here. You can see I have it like upright on my desk now, which is like miles better because before the painting used to be flat, and I don't know, it was weird. I just had to like look down on my painting, and I didn't like it. So just trying out a new setup, and I realized when I only had 10 minutes left that it was what I had to do. But I got the palette cam. It's cool that it's part of a drawer now that has all my paints in it. This is gonna be my plein air setup that I take out and paint the woods. But however, today we're gonna do a storm scene because I like them and it's been stormy. And I've just been wanting to do more of those since my first couple of tornado paintings. Basically all I'm saying is like 2 tornado paintings ain't enough. And I'm thinking, because I haven't decided my colors yet, I'm still kind of picking them, but I'm thinking because it's a storm and I'm thinking I'm gonna do a tornado, I'm gonna do a green wash. Because there's always these greens that show up in storms, and I think if that's just showing through as the underpainting, and I never used to do underpaintings, I'm getting more hip to them now. I always just started on a blank white canvas. Pretty much any painter you see will do a underpainting, and I know why now, but I'm almost glad that I did it the other way. There's a lot of painters that start from white, but it's basically like, what do you want to react with your colors? And I realize I'm gonna actually at some point in the stream I'm gonna have to go grab my hair dryer just so we can speed things up, because we are doing gouache today. With gouache comes a little bit of watercolor technique, but for today's painting I'm staying mostly opaque because I have a plein air competition I'm entering in on the 12th, and I plan on painting opaque, so I just want to stay in that mindset. So I'm thinking, I realize the colors are a bit blared out, but I'm thinking what is this called? Cobalt turquoise light. I guess that would be more blue. The funny part about pigments and different companies is they all are a little different. That's why I stick with Winsor and Newton, just to get used to what's going on there. Where is it? Cobalt turquoise light. It's a color. Cypress green, there it is. It's cypress green, but I mean, clearly that's blue. But I don't want it to be straight green. It's supposed to be that subtle underpainting of green. I have like several, like 7 to 8 storm references off to my right here of just different photographs of storms, and I'm gonna use those to craft my own storm. And yeah. Been in a learning phase lately. I can't stress enough how important it is to study real life. Otherwise you don't know what happens. One of my favorite artists one time answered me in one of the comment sections. I asked him, I was like, you had to tell your young artist self something, what would you tell him? And he said, I'd tell him to quit being so stubborn. And it kind of like, you know, twisted my head for a second. And I was like, huh. And I thought about it, and I was like, you know what? He's so right. There's so many things that I was stubborn about, and for like the wrong reasons. And there's nearly never a good reason to be stubborn, unless you're being stubborn about like being driven or something. But basically, there's just so many principles and things I neglected in the back of the day because I had the false impression that like becoming good at drawing was just raw drawing as much as you possibly can, and that's really not the whole truth. That's only a little bit of the truth. It's doing the work to learn the principles and do what the masters did. And it's kind of like you want to end up. It's like you want to be your own master. It's weird, and it's easy to not practice things that you should. And that's kind of how I took that. And like one thing that I avoided like the plague when I was a younger artist was studying photos or copying, because I had this idea in my head that if I did that enough, I eventually wouldn't need photos, but that's actually not true at all. It's a perfect marriage between studying real life and combining that with drawing out of your head. And unfortunately, I am not a storm chaser, so I wasn't able to go get my own picture of a tornado. Very hard to do, very risky. So I am breaking the rule today of not using my own photos. But you'll find that you'll have to do that as an artist. Just use what you can get. Hopefully everything's running smoothly. Y'all can hear me. Let me know in chat. The music's good and everything's hearable. Is my voice sounding like robotic at all? No. My voice, my noise correction thing sometimes makes me sound all glitchy. Alright, just kind of looking at what colors I'm going to want to use here. Definitely gonna need the yellows. My yellow is a bit hidden back here. I think I can grab it. Take out the primary yellow since it's already used. Primary yellow is pretty much just above cadmium and just below lemon. It's like such a middle of the road yellow, but I find it to be very what's the word? Semi-transparent? It's not what they use. What do they use? I think they just say like semi-opaque or something on the website. But certain pigments will be more opaque than others, and that's when you start getting into the advanced mixing world. For example, like you have titanium white and you have zinc white. Zinc white is much less opaque and more transparent than titanium white. So what happens is if you mix the same ratio of blue with those two, you'll find that the blue will stay a little more vibrant with the zinc white because it's not taking over as much as the titanium white will. And you only find those nuances when you really start painting for hundreds of hours, and that's only really when they start mattering. You get to a point where you hit a wall, you're like, why are my colors looking dull? And that's sort of the solution there. So let's see, I'm going to also grab where is it? Halo blue could be a fun choice. Good old Bob Ross blue. I haven't messed with phthalo enough out of this set to know how it's gonna go, but that's okay. Let's see here. Honestly, I can do most of this with just. I realize I'm probably getting cut off a little bit on the bottom here. Ultramarine isn't quite the blue we want. We could use it, but we'd be fighting against it more than if we did a green or blue. I feel like cobalt turquoise is the way to go, or actually even Prussian blue lightened. I'll grab Prussian blue too for the darks, and for the lights I'll grab cerulean, I guess. Just cerulean impression. Primary yellow. Cypress green for the underpainting. Let's see. And I want to grab a burnt sienna. The fields have brown grass, so I want to kind of capture that. And we're obviously going to need our white and black. And let's see, what red would be good here? We're going to need the slightest bit of red. It's not much red besides where the sun's hitting and the ground. Want a very cadmium red would do, but I almost want the lighter one. Put my chosen paints here off to the side. It's good to limit your color palette overall. Flame red, that's the one I was looking for. It's a much more orange red, and it's a mixed pigment, which means, or it's a mixed color, not a pure pigment, which means that it's a ratio of yellow and red already, so I know that there's yellow in there. And that will help to not destroy the yellow so much when you're mixing the red into it. It's very easy to overdo that. I've been subscribed to your channel for almost 3 years. Let's go! True fan. Wow. I really appreciate you. Huh? I am very grateful for all of your dedicated held subscriptions. Helps me tremendously. Helps me keep doing art. All of that good stuff. So, I have a brush designed specifically for washing. Love this thing. Believe it or not, this little thing was $40. Crazy. But I do notice a difference between high quality bristles and low quality bristles. I wouldn't say you have to get like animal hair $160 brushes. I think that's overkill. And especially if you're a vegan, you're probably not gonna want to go that route. But I find like squirrel brushes to be overkill. I don't see the difference between a synthetic and a real hair animal brush. I'm sure someone could argue differently. But brother, what's good? Good to see you, Daniel. Welcome in, brother. Welcome in. We're just getting started here. Picking the paints, getting that going. Got a new palette set up here. So my concern is this palette is flat and it's on a down slope, so when we do a bit more watered downness here, might be running off, but we'll see. So hopefully, I know the chat's going over the palette, but I didn't really have any other way to use the real estate on the screen. So, there we go. And I realized if the palette camera was sideways, it'd be so tiny. So I'm gonna toss a little, the binders kind of. That happens with the gouache, like when you first open it. It looks entirely different on the palette camera than it does in real life. I know I have the main camera color corrected. Let me see if I can match that quick. Luckily I don't have to be in a rush because gouache doesn't dry forever. Such a good perk. How you doing, Daniel? How you been, man? Where am I? Where am I? Palette camera, palette camera. Where'd you go? There it is. Nope, that's not it. Where's that thing? There it is. Okay. Filters, color correct. It looks a little too blue. Let me see. Yep. That's more kind of what it looks like. Like, even though my hand now looks like it has a disease. How you doing, man? On yesterday's live, I think you didn't know me since I changed my YouTube name to Danny. Oh, okay. Good to know, good to know. I'm doing great. Heck yeah, man. So glad to hear it. I appreciate you watching yesterday's stream. We're gonna keep the palette camera there for now. The colors on the palette camera aren't gonna be accurate, and that's what happens when you use $15 Amazon webcams. Someday I hope to have better streaming cameras. It would be amazing. Like all 4K. Going crazy. Oh, by the way, I use this. It's a spray bottle. This is your best friend as a water-based painter, let me tell you. Even with acrylics and gouache and watercolor. Have a spritzer. I gotta go refill it though. I'll be right back. 2 seconds. Alright. There's just so many ways to use these. For example, like if I'm doing my clouds with acrylic, you need to keep them wet because they're soft. So you need to constantly be feathering the edges of clouds. And I'll just, like, as I'm working on my clouds, I'll just spray it 2, 3, 4 times. And it'll keep it like as if you're working on an oil painting. It's awesome. You do have to be careful. You can spray too much and then suddenly you'll get these drips running down your canvas. But, you know, pros versus cons. I think the limit that water-based stuff has with how much you can water it down is fine. It can be pushed far enough to where if you have to reset, you've already had a lot of room to run with it for a while. And I'm gonna pre-wet the paper a little bit. And when you do this, it just helps the paint slide around. And now I'm going to take my brush and spread that water evenly. And this is how you do, a lot of people do their watercolor washes. Some people don't do it this way. And I'm not really doing a sky wash, I'm doing an underpainting here. Okay, now I'm going to spray my palette too. Get lots of water. We're not even going to need all this cypress I put down here. And if anything, I already want to add a hair of yellow to it. This palette's nice, whatever the finish they put on it. This is the first time I'm using this palette, by the way. It's wood. See, there it goes, running down. I had a feeling that would happen. You turn it around and I can hold it. Add a hair of yellow. I want it to be a bit more green. You can see this yellow is very weak, but that can be a good thing. That's the benefit of all these different pigments and the properties they have. If I just rest it here, it'll be more level. Can we still see that in the palette camera? Just pull the drawer in a little bit. The drawer. And I'm thinning this out a lot. And we're going opaque over this underpainting, so I'm not so concerned about brush strokes being so perfectly even. And we're gonna just paint the whole thing. We're gonna have to let this dry completely, so I'm gonna step away, grab my hair dryer, we'll speed that up. And for fun, I'm gonna add a little bit more green to the bottom here. Also with washes and watercolor, the angle of your table actually becomes a thing. So this is a severe angle, and I don't care because I'm not watercoloring, so, but you can actually work with the gravity of your table and how it pulls the medium down, and a lot of great effects you can get with that. A lot of watercolor artists, they like to use about a 30-degree table, so it runs, but it's not too fast. This is very, very vertical, so it would probably be too fast. But I have painted watercolor this way, plein air, and it works. Get my sponge here. It's actually be beneficial to have a sponge on here just in case. Almost like just have it sitting on the bottom here. Danny, what are we drawing today? We are going to do a storm, tornado scene again. I love them. I haven't done, I need to do 1,000 of those before I die, so we're only up to 2. And you can see how there was lines there, and now they're gone. That's one awesome thing about pre-wetting the paper, is all those brushstroke lines are all going to merge together nice and beautifully. And even if I was doing a watercolor here, and let's say I wanted to preset my sky, I could have added the yellows, the cyans, all the way up to the ultramarines, and they would have all blended together as if you spent a half an hour feathering it. And I think that's one of the most beautiful properties of watercolor, is it like paints for you. Or watercolor-ish mediums, and I would consider gouache watercolor when it's thinned down. Alright. I love this little, you can't see it, it's off to the side, but my water pan here holds my brushes for me. A storm that's sick, yes. I want to do a tornado. Open, flat, plain fields of Oklahoma tornado. Just looking giant. I'm going to try to figure out how to get the scale good. And I'm doing the plans because it's simple and we only have so much time today. If I wanted, you know, if I had all the time in the world, I'd do it ripping through the middle of New York City and knocking a skyscraper over, but we know how involved those paintings can get. And we'll have those streams again when there's the time. So I want to just quickly color correct my iPhone camera here because it's not giving you the correct hue once again. This is such an issue with painting traditional media on camera when you're streaming, is getting the crowd to see it how you're seeing it, especially if you don't have some badass camera, is a pain, man. Alright. Can everyone hear me okay, by the way? Is the music coming in? Hopefully it is. I want y'all to be able to hear the chill music in between words. All great. Alright, sweet, sweet. Thanks, guys. Alright, so I just gotta hue shift this till it looks... So that's actually more what I'm seeing. See how I just turned it more green? That's pretty much what it looks like to me right now. Yeah, it looked like that to you a second ago, but it's more right here. And I don't know how that'll affect the rest of the painting. So what's kind of annoying about that, you know, is if I'm being educational and I'm like, okay, and you can see how when this color goes down, it looks like this and then it doesn't, you know. But just keep in mind that you're seeing a very slight hue shift from what I'm seeing. Sometimes even an actually pretty drastic hue shift, so yeah, I can hear everything. Let's go. I love when things work. Okay. I am gonna grab my hairdryer really quick, and I'll be right back. Has the music gotten too loud there? I feel like it just did. I saw it on the EQ. Did the music just get too loud? as I'm talking. There's just parts of the song that sometimes get loud. No, okay, good. Sophia gave me a no, we're good. Alright, I'm gonna grab the hair dryer really quick. Alrighty. Right here. It's one of your best transparent medium tools right here. And this is about how low the horizon is going to be. There was some paint building up on the bottom, so I was just helping that along there. And I don't care if that stays, that little line there, because we're going opaque. It'd be one thing if I wanted this color to react with everything I put down, then I would wait less time and start painting it. But I'm painting over it opaquely, so it doesn't matter. It's more about the little kind of pores that appear through your brush strokes, that color is what comes through. And then there's going to be certain parts of the clouds that I want to bring it out to, where I'll paint transparently over it. Just color correcting one more time here really quick. Okay. That's close enough. I'll go down to that. Okay. Plug it in here. All right. Not to bonk everything. That would have been tragic. Alrighty. And dry this up here. Just pausing here real quick on the drying, just muting it. You'll notice that sometimes when you wash your paper, it'll start bubbling up. A good sign to know it's dry is when it actually flattens back out again. So as I dry this, I'm noticing it's going back to flat. And that's just kind of a paper feature that you'll be wrestling with these types of mediums. Also, there's a very big difference between your wash being cured and dry. And what I've noticed is, if you really let your first layer dry properly, you can go over it 2 or 3 times without reactivating it. But if you wait just a little too short, it'll reactivate right away. And I've made that mistake many times. It's kind of a fine line. Alright, I'm gonna mute you again while I hair dry so you don't have to listen to it. And I'm not actually hair drying, I realize. I'm paper drying. Paint drying. Also, when I went outside in the shed to get my hair dryer, it was raining very hard, storming outside, so very appropriately lined up today in subject matter. We got those actual vibes outside right now. We actually got a couple tornado warnings today, about 30-40 minutes ago. All right. And also, back to the point of your palette, your table surface being on an angle when it comes to washes. That is a problem that can happen. So, like on the bottom here, when I kind of cleaned up that puddle, those puddles will happen much faster and they'll gather up on the edges of your tape. And sometimes that can look a little funny. But again, I'm not caring so much because this is gonna be an opaque painting. I like treating gouache like it's acrylic, but then I like using its watercolor properties when I need them. And I think that's what's so cool about such a hybrid medium like this, is you can use it in so many different ways, considering that you can go both directions. You can work dark to light, or mid-tone to light, or mid-tone to dark. You don't have to plan your lights like you do watercolor. And you can reactivate your palette. It's just endless. Like, there's so many good features to it. I tried using it on canvas and it was a nightmare and it cracked, but I recently found another artist that does gouache on canvas online, and I was asking her, I was like, how do you get it to not crack? And she goes, oh, you just keep it really thin. So I'm gonna have to revisit the gouache on canvas, and I think maybe priming it with something could be better. I don't know. I'll have to revisit it. And then there was varnishing it. There's one painting I have that's in gouache, varnished on canvas, and it's still holding up. So maybe I did that one correct. I'm gonna hair dry a little bit longer here. It's not quite there yet. And when you really do a wet wash, it does take a bit to dry, so just be patient. That's probably adequate enough. Also, you can flash freeze or flash dry your washes too quick, and that's worth keeping in mind. So what I mean by that is sometimes when you're trying to get that nice effect with watercolor, where it bleeds together automatically, sometimes you can prematurely freeze dry that melding too soon, and then you'll still notice the gradients where they transition. And so when I'm using a hairdryer, I make sure I wait until it gets to that point that it looks like everything's nice and blended, and then I'll flash dry it or whatever you want to call it. Oh, as you can see, traditional medium's just inherently more clumsy and time-consuming. Alright. I'm going to add a little bit more yellow here. And what's amazing about gouache, like I said 1,000 times, is we are in no rush because there's no worries about reactivating this stuff. I'm just going to get the other colors I picked on my palette here, so I have them available. I think it's one of the main reasons why people oil paint. is because of that wonderful dry time. Now our Prussian blue is going to act, it's a very yellow blue, which means it can be very green looking. And that's why I'm picking that. These are all yellow blues, which means they're got green tints to them. We don't really need our sienna out yet, but I'm gonna do it anyway. Alright. Already get our cypress out there, get our yellow and black. Oh wow, this white is I'm gonna say white and black, not yellow and black. You'll go through your white probably more than any color if you're especially trying to do naturalist type paintings, as in like the natural look. I already put my Prussian out, and Prussian's very strong, by the way. You can eat up. But what's cool about Prussian that I didn't know till actually a couple years ago is when you water it down or lighten it, it becomes cyan or cerulean, which is neat. So you basically got like that light cerulean and dark green blue all at once with Prussian, but again, the less tubes of paint you have, the less starting points you have, and so you'll find that you'll just be having to mix a little bit more, which is nothing wrong with that. Okay, so like yesterday, time to sort of decide on big main shapes here. I'm gonna save the ground for last. It's not the subject. And I have this really sidewindy tornado going on that I think I like the most. It just looks so strange. And also, the reason why you do an underpainting is because it's nice to be able to work from a mid-tone out from the center, rather than just light to dark or dark to light. It feels less limiting, and I feel like I can sort of work in both directions. I'm going to spritz the palette. I'll just throw a spritz over each pile of paint every 2 minutes or so. Just keep them activated enough. Because gouache can get a little deactivated to the point where it gets a little dry, and then you'll get these like crumbs start rolling around on your palette, which you can reactivate, but then it gets annoying when they're not piles, because you're trying to reactivate this little crumb and it's getting away from your brush, and then it'll get stuck in your bristles and becomes this whole thing. Just keep your gouache wet, trust me. Get yourself a spritzer. And they're cheap. I mean, I had a hand sanitizer one I used for like 5 years before it just broke. So, okay, I'm kind of assessing what colors I'm going to have to use. We got our yellows, we got blues, we can make all our greens with that. We got black and white. Our cyan, our sienna is going to take care of the most of our red. That's the color I forgot, the flame red. And this color we're going to use the least, so I'm just going to kind of put it over here as, and I put way too much down. But I'm just going to keep it over there. And it's almost orange. But flame red is very, very, very bad for mixing like a purple. You won't get a purple, you'll get a brown mud. Or like a gray mud. Okay, next. Kind of deciding on what brush I want to use here. I want to use my short round, they call it. You have normal rounds. I'll show you the difference. Here's your normal round brush. Here's a short round brush. And it's not so much that it's shorter or longer, it's that like one's more stumpy than the other one. I swear all my brushes get loose. And I think it's because I have this like bad Bob Ross habit of like smacking my brush on the side of the table. Maybe I should stop doing that. Actually, change my mind. I want to go to a square brush. Or a chisel, they call it. I've been really loving flat brush painting. Just doing giant chunks. I'm going to use a big one. Because we want to block out our colors first. So, I think what I'm going to do is get more yellow on my palette and start mixing myself a nice muted sun yellow. Sun's never perfectly yellow, or the sunlight. It's sort of this whitened out, very soft yellow. It can be a bit tricky to find sometimes too. Also, a weird little trick I recommend with your colors on your palette, I'll take a second here to do this, is sort of press your brush into it and drag out the pile so that it sort of smooths out onto the canvas. Or the palette. And what that does is it sort of presses the color into the palette so it doesn't fall off. Because I realize sometimes with gouache, it'll dry to the point where you go to reactivate it and it'll just like roll off like a rock. You're almost like pressing the pile of paint into the grains of your palette to get it to stay. And then also it gives you this nice little ramp to drag your brush off of when you just want to grab a little bit of paint. Because when it's still a blobby pile, sometimes you grab too much paint with your brush. And a lot of the times color mixing, a really good analogy for color mixing is it's cooking. So you can imagine you're making a soup or a stir fry, and you add a little bit of salt, and then you taste it, and you're like, eh, not enough salt. You add a little more salt. You never just dump half the salt thing in, right? Or just guess the max amount of salt. You gotta kind of taste it, add a little bit more until it tastes just right. And that's pretty much how color goes when you're mixing it. The Prussian blue. I notice whatever it is with Prussian blue, it's the crummiest, not in quality wise, but just like it crumbs up the most. I don't know if it's a pigment thing. That's such a rich, nice blue. I also recommend when you're painting to have a side card off to the side that you're holding that you can come and test colors on. Actually, that looks pretty accurate on camera now, finally. I like that. Look how nice Prussian blue is, man. Tell me that's not one of the richest, best pigments ever. That's right out of the tube. A little transparent, obviously. We're getting a little of that white paper's coming through. But it's good to have yourself a test card. Test your color a little bit. Okay. I'm feeling happy with how much my wash has dried. I'm gonna try to add some color now. Let's go back to getting that sun white. I'm gonna drag my yellow off this way. Actually, unfortunately, I'm gonna have to add a little bit more yellow here, as our cypress blue has taken over and turned it toxic green. You can see there. Oh, that's interesting. Makes you want to turn up the saturation one tiny hair. It's good to get this done now because then I don't have to do it again later. On future streams, all the settings will be set up here. Okay, let me see. Nope. That didn't really do much. It's whatever. Okay. I'm gonna actually take my sponge here and knock over my entire setup. No, I'm just kidding. Gonna reset it a little bit. Yellow gets eaten up the quickest. It's easy to accidentally sort of waste the yellow on your palette. And this is the cheapest yellow you can buy from Winsor Newton of their designer gouache lineup. It's not a pure pigment. It's not like cadmium. And so I'm just trying to use it up. So it does annoy me a bit. It's very transparent. So it takes a lot, but I bought it, so now I want to just use it. It's very easy to be trigger happy with paints when you go into the store and think you're going to use them all. Let me tell you. Alright, we've reached our 2-minute spritz. Time to keep a little water on them there. Okay, let's get that yellow. I'm going to mix it over here behind the white. I don't mind if some white gets into my yellow, my pure yellow. It's just very muted yellow. And we're gonna have to make it pretty opaque. Because remember, it's a very transparent pigment. About there. If anything, I had a little bit too much water in my brush here. And I'm going to stop dipping my brush entirely. I'm actually going to dry out my brush slightly, grab a little more paint, and toss it in there. Push the saturation of this yellow a little bit more than I feel comfortable, because it's always going to dull and dry a little bit. And here I'm just going to mark where I want my sky to be. And really quick, I'm going to take my eye. Let's see. 1, 2, 2, 4, 6, 8. So about 8 of these skies can fit, or this yellow portions can fit. So let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's about 8. Something that is a certain feeling to putting down that first brush stroke. I'll tell you, I never know what's gonna happen. You just get better at guessing what's gonna happen. And it's okay to go into your horizon there a little bit. It will be cut off again later. I'm not even gonna dip my brush, and I'm gonna grab more white. Toss that in. Even more white. Toss that in. I just grabbed directly pure white and put it right on the canvas. And we're going to paint this up a little bit. And make sure it's as pure as possible, nice and smooth finish. I'll even drag it a bit more out this way. You can see my brush just reached the point where it's doing a dry brush stroke. See that? That, I would say gouache is the master at dry brush strokes. Watercolor too. It's so fun and at getting that dry brush texture. And I'm not going to be afraid of letting the gouache build up a little bit on the paper here. I generally like to have it as flat as possible, but it's all good. Okay. So, next color. I want to grab the tiniest hair. Cypress green. And white. And I'm going to pull some of this yellow I made out. And go with that. Toss that right there. Now it still looks yellowish white, but what actually is happening now is I'm starting to pull this yellow towards blue. And what's going to happen is you're going to have this really subtle green, almost cypress, and it kind of, the more you try to describe it, the more it swaps back and forth between two colors. It's kind of like that dress meme that went viral a while ago, where everyone couldn't decide if it was gold and blue or if black and blue. Same effect going on here. And I'm going to grab a little bit more. Remember, just a pinch of salt. A little more white. And clouds are actually go pretty gray when they're in the stormy setting, I've noticed. So don't be afraid if it loses a little bit of its color when it comes to your clouds. Toss that there. And sometimes when you're working with these kind of mediums, you might find that you have to pause and let things dry. I'm gonna have a little fun here and grab this brush and see if I can just feather out a little bit here. Just a tad. Okay. Remember, we're sticking with big shapes right now. And the next big shape I see takes up pretty much the whole thing. Here's where we're going to start grabbing our cerulean a bit. And a dash of Prussian maybe. Toss that there. And Prussian's a great blue to use to darken things if you want them to stay green or blue. You can darken with black, but it will suck the chroma out of everything. And I'm going to clean my brush so I don't get too much blue in my white pile here. And hey, love. Actually, I think I got a new sponge here. There we go. Grab some of this white. I'm actually going to grab a little bit of black just to kill some of the color a little bit. I'm going to allow these to mix here. Have a little bit more of a green version here. And I may not be pushing this to be opaque enough, which is fine. I'm going to go a little more white. The white in this tube is like dried up a bit, so a little more. Something like that. Get this big shape right here. Oh, it's so satisfying. And with these kind of mediums that activate with water, you want to try to get one brush stroke and done. I'm gonna toss up the colors and not think about them so much. Let them blend together. Let little blobs and shapes happen. The clouds are so freeing. They do have a look to them, but they're very freeing. If you're scared to paint, start with some clouds. And always try to put your... Oh, there goes my camera. Huh, oh no! The thing broke. Haha. It snapped.
Oh no.
1 second, guys. My camera just fell off its stand and snapped. Like my camera holder snapped. Okay. That's something you can't predict. Life's very unpredictable, just like paint. That's why you gotta roll with it. Same feeling of putting up the wrong color. Let me spritz here. Okay. Yeah, so look. Hey guys, just letting you know I'm still dealing with this camera situation. Because, yeah. For those of you who are jumping in now, my camera just literally fell off the tripod because the holder snapped, and I'm just trying to problem solve that and find something to mount my camera. I'll be back as soon as possible. Hey guys, I'm just gonna end stream for a second because I just don't want to keep you on a waiting screen. I don't know what else to do. Literally, my camera mount broke and I just spent 5 minutes trying to find something quick and I can't, so I'm gonna have to spend like 20 minutes fixing this. I really apologize. I mean, like, how the heck can you plan for molecules snapping? Yeah. I guess that's just seeing its day, but see what happened. Snap. Alright, so I'll be right back. I'm so sorry. Thank you so much for tuning in thus far. And we will continue the storm painting today either way. Finish it. I'll be back as soon as possible. We're gonna keep streaming. I'm gonna figure out this camera thing.